Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. In today's video we are going to be talking about Aglaonema. Now guys, this was not my plant. I had taken it from one of my friend because she was not able to give proper care to the plant, and she didn't want to be guilty that she is going to kill another house plant. So when she had given me this plant, it only had one large leaf, which eventually when I got it to my place also happened to fall off. Now, I am a kind of a person, I don't know if you can call me crazy, but a lot of times I tend to keep the plant, even if it's dead, even if there is a stem, I still tend to keep the plant in the pot for a very long time. I'm not very sure why I do that. Probably I feel very bad to throw away the plant, and that's what I did. I left the plant in this pot as it is. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the video of that because I myself didn't know that the plant is going to revive. It has been a couple of months. I think it's been more than 6 months. And the plant slowly started to put 1, 2, and 3, and 4. This is the 4th leaf that is coming up on this plant, and there hasn't been much that I have done to this plant apart from using a regular soil mix, which is a mix of coco peat. It looks like there is a lot of coco peat because I've topped it up with coco peat, but ideally I'm using the same soil mix, which is a mix of coco peat, garden soil, sand, and a little bit of perlite. Now, I'm not very sure why the plant was not doing well with my friend. Probably one of the reasons is because she does not get a lot of light. Apart from that, I think she had done a little bit of excessive watering for the plant because somebody told her that you should water the plant regularly. So I think that is one of the case, and the leaves were falling. But I think major case could be that the plant was not getting a lot of light, because when I had checked the roots looked very healthy, but it was dropping the leaves. So probably she had kept the plant in a very low light condition. Now, aglaonemas do well in low light conditions, but there are certain varieties only. If the plant has a little bit of bright colors, ensure that you're keeping it in indirect but really bright light. Do not expose your plant to direct sunlight, especially afternoon sunlight. The leaves will definitely get burnt. Whenever you are confused about any plant, especially with foliage plants, if you're very confused where exactly to place it, whether should I keep it in direct sunlight or in indirect bright light, I think the safest option is to keep it in indirect bright light, because in this way the plant is not going to get burnt, and plus because there is a lot of bright light, the plant will do quite well. And that's exactly what I did with this plant. I moved this plant to an indirect spot. As I said, the first leaf had already dropped off within a couple of days of getting it, and I thought probably that is because of the change in environment and climate. But after probably a month or so, I started to see new leaves coming up. And ever since then, this plant is being kept in indirect bright light. I haven't exposed it to afternoon direct sunlight, or even for that matter, morning direct sunlight. At times it might get filtered light or dappled light, but no direct sunlight. So overall the plant is doing quite well. Now, because it's winters, I do not add a lot of fertilizers to this plant. Ever since this plant had come, I had not added any fertilizers. I thought, if the plant is about to die, what's the purpose of using fertilizers? So I had not added any fertilizers, and probably during summers, once they start, I will be adding a little bit of my compost tea, but as of now, it is just doing quite well on its own. Now, I'm not very sure about, or I'm not very familiar with the names of aglaonemas, because there are so many aglaonemas available in the market, but most probably this could be the red lipstick aglaonema. Again, I'm not very sure. If you know the name of this, please do let me know in the comment section, but definitely this is a variety of aglaonema, and it has this beautiful red coloring, so you can give it a good amount of indirect bright light. Now, the best way to propagate or multiply your aglaonema is through root division. You'll have to take out the entire plant from the soil and then separate the offsets. But this all depends upon how big or how mature your aglaonema is. For example, this aglaonema is going to take a very long time for it to put out the shoots, because itself is recovering from the past episode. So I'm not very sure if it's going to put out anything very soon. But there is a method of separating the offshoots once they reach a little bit bigger, or you can do a stem cutting. Now, I cannot vouch on the stem cutting process because I have personally never done a aglaonema stem cutting, but in case in future, whenever I will be doing a stem cutting of aglaonema, I will first experiment it and then share it with you guys. But apart from that, it is very easy to separate them via root division. Now, talking about watering, I would say reduce your watering during the winter season, because that's when the plant tends to kind of go into dormancy, not into a complete dormancy like other foliage plants, but it tends to go a little bit dormant. It tends to slow down its growth. So you'll have to reduce your watering as well as do not add any fertilizers. Now during summers, depending upon your temperature and climate and the type of environment you are from, you will have to increase the frequency of watering. But ensure that at least 2 to 3 inches of the upper layer of soil is dry before you go ahead and water it. Do not do excessive watering, otherwise there will be root rot. Now talking about temperature and humidity, because this plant is native to Asia, basically a very tropical environment, that's what it prefers. So it prefers a little bit of warmer temperature. That's why it tends to grow during the summers, and winter it tends to go into partial dormancy. It does not like a very cold environment. So if you are from a place wherein the temperatures can get very cold outdoors, so you can get your plant indoor and grow it in an indirect but bright light. Do not keep them directly under a air conditioning vent or a heater, otherwise the leaves will get damaged. Now talking about humidity, because again it belongs to a tropical environment, it prefers a good amount of humidity. If your place is little bit dry, then you will have to go with the methods like keeping a pebble tray beneath, or probably you can put in a lot of other plants around, especially for people who are from a very dry environment. If you are growing it indoor, you can use a humidifier. Talking about pest issues, yes, aglaonemas do get affected with spider mites, mealybugs, aphids and scale insects on the stem. So whenever you are doing a routine check once in 2 weeks or once in 3 weeks, always turn the leaves and check if there is any insects beneath. Usually spider mites, or you might see mealybugs in the stem area, so it's always better to check. And if you happen to see any pest, you can go with any organic solution that you have been using all this while. Now guys, talking about, is this plant toxic? Yes, this plant is toxic, so you have to ensure that this plant is kept away from the reach of small children and pets, whether you're keeping it indoor or you're keeping it outdoor. Apart from that, it's a fairly easy to grow plant. There are different varieties of aglaonemas coming up in the market, a lot of hybrids, and they are beautiful colored patterns. They have a lot of variegation, lot of colors, bright colors. So if you are interested in it, you can definitely add them in your collection. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.